Raise your hand if you've ever been hurt by someone who looked you straight in the eye and told you they cared about you. Keep it up. Now keep it up if that same person hurt you again, knowing exactly what would break you. Most of you still have your hands raised. This is the reality we must face today. There exists a fundamental difference between the person who accidentally steps on your foot in a crowded room and the person who studies your walk, memorizes your path, and places their foot precisely where yours will land. One deserves understanding. The other deserves your complete and permanent absence from their life. The accidental harm comes with genuine surprise, immediate apology, and changed behavior. The deliberate strike comes with calculated precision, false remorse, and repeated patterns. When someone damages you intentionally, they have already made a choice about your worth in their life. They have weighed your value against their temporary satisfaction and found you lacking. This is not a mistake. This is a verdict. Every warrior learns to distinguish between friendly fire and enemy attack. Friendly fire happens in chaos, without intent, followed by immediate aid and genuine regret. Enemy attack comes with purpose, planning, and often the smile that disarms you before the blade finds its mark. The person who damages you deliberately has declared themselves your enemy, even if they continue to wear the mask of friendship. Consider the precision required for intentional emotional damage. They must first study your vulnerabilities, catalog your fears, and memorize exactly what words will cut deepest. They must choose the perfect moment when your defenses are down, when you trust them most. They must calculate the exact amount of damage that will hurt you profoundly, but not so much that you'll immediately recognize their intent. This level of strategic cruelty requires planning, patience, and a complete disregard for your well-being. When you give someone who deliberately harmed you a second chance, you are not showing mercy. You are providing them with updated intelligence about your wounds, fresh ammunition for their next attack, and confirmation that their tactics work. You become an accomplice in your own destruction. The deliberate destroyer operates differently from the accidental harm causer. Watch their eyes when they apologize. The genuine person shows pain at having hurt you. The deliberate destroyer shows satisfaction disguised as remorse. They have achieved their goal and are already planning their next move. Their apology is not seeking forgiveness, it's seeking continued access. Your empathy becomes their entry point. Your forgiveness becomes their green light. Your second chance becomes their confirmation that you are a reliable victim who will absorb damage and return for more. They do not see your mercy as strength. They see it as weakness to exploit. The most dangerous lie we tell ourselves is that everyone deserves a second chance. This platitude ignores the reality that some people see your second chances as invitations to perfect their methods of harm. They study what worked, refine what didn't, and return with upgraded weapons designed specifically for your destruction. When someone accidentally hurts you, they work to understand how it happened and ensure it never happens again. When someone deliberately hurts you, they work to understand why it was so effective and how to improve their technique next time. One protects you from future harm. The other guarantees it. The intentional harm giver has already shown you their capacity for cruelty. They have demonstrated their willingness to use intimate knowledge of your vulnerabilities as weapons. They have proven they can look directly at your pain and feel satisfaction rather than sympathy. What more evidence do you need of their true nature? Your nervous system knows the difference even when your mind resists the truth. Pay attention to how your body responds in their presence. The accidental harm causer creates temporary tension that dissolves with genuine communication. The deliberate destroyer creates a persistent state of hypervigilance, an unconscious recognition that you are in the presence of a predator. They have shown you their hand. They have revealed their true nature. They have demonstrated their capacity and willingness to damage you deliberately. Believing their promises of change while ignoring their demonstrated character is not optimism, it's delusion. The person who can hurt you intentionally once possesses both the desire and ability to do it again. The only variable is opportunity. Every second chance you provide is another opportunity delivered directly to their doorstep, gift wrapped in your hope that they have somehow transformed into a different person. But transformation is not erasure. Even if they claim to have changed, even if they demonstrate temporary improvement, the capacity for deliberate cruelty remains within them. It lies dormant, waiting for the right circumstances, the perfect storm of their frustration and your vulnerability. The programming is already installed. The blueprints of your destruction are already drawn. All they need is the right moment to execute them again. Your second chance teaches them nothing about respect. It teaches them about your predictability. It doesn't inspire them to treat you better. It confirms that treating you poorly has no lasting consequences. Your forgiveness becomes their safety net, catching them every time they fall from grace, ensuring they never have to face the full weight of their choices. The deliberate destroyer counts on your goodness. They bank on your belief that everyone has potential for good, that everyone deserves another opportunity to prove themselves. They weaponize your hope against you, using your own values as the rope to bind you to their cycle of abuse. They know exactly what to say to earn their way back into your good graces. They have studied not just your vulnerabilities but also your triggers for compassion. They know which words unlock your forgiveness, which gestures disarm your defenses, which promises restore your hope. They have become experts in you, and they use this expertise as both sword and shield. When they return with their apologies and explanations, they are not presenting evidence of change, they are presenting evidence of their sophistication as manipulators. They have learned to say what you need to hear, not because they mean it, but because they know it works. The pattern reveals itself only when you step back far enough to see it clearly. The cycle of harm, apology, temporary good behavior, and escalated harm repeats with mechanical precision. Each rotation of the cycle teaches them more about your responses and weaknesses, while teaching you less about their true nature, because you keep hoping to see something different. Your willingness to be hurt repeatedly by the same person is not love, it's conditioning. You have been trained to accept unacceptable treatment, to normalize abnormal cruelty, to make excuses for inexcusable behavior. The person who trained you did so deliberately, systematically, with full knowledge of what they were doing to your ability to protect yourself. They have studied the art of gradual destruction, understanding that massive trauma creates resistance while small, consistent damage creates compliance. They erode your boundaries slowly, testing how much you'll accept, pushing slightly further each time, training you to tolerate progressively more harmful treatment. The moment you recognize deliberate intent behind their actions, everything changes. This is not someone struggling with their demons while trying to love you. This is someone who has made you the target of their demons while pretending to love you. The struggle is not with their darkness, the struggle is with your light, which they systematically work to extinguish. They do not lose control and hurt you. They choose to hurt you while maintaining complete control over their image and your responses. They are not overwhelmed by emotion, they are calculating with precision. They do not act impulsively, they act strategically. Every harmful action serves a purpose in their larger plan to keep you destabilized, dependent, and available for further exploitation. Your recognition of their deliberate intent is the beginning of your freedom. It is the moment when their power over you begins to crumble, because that power depends entirely on your belief that their harm is accidental, temporary, or changeable. Once you see the pattern clearly, once you understand the intent behind their actions, their spell breaks. This awakening is not comfortable. It requires you to abandon cherished illusions about their potential, about the relationship, about your ability to love them into better behavior. It demands that you see them as they actually are rather than as you wish they were or as they present themselves to be. The deliberate destroyer fears this awakening more than anything else because they know that once you fully grasp their intentional nature, once you truly understand that they damage you on purpose, you will stop providing opportunities for them to do it again. Their access to you depends on your blindness to their intent. They will fight against your awakening with everything they have. They will gaslight you into doubting your perceptions, manipulate you into questioning your conclusions, and love bomb you into forgetting your revelations. They understand that your clarity is their greatest threat, and they will deploy every weapon in their arsenal to restore your confusion. But once you have seen the truth clearly, once you have recognized the deliberate nature of their harm, you cannot unsee it. This knowledge becomes a shield that protects you from future manipulation, a compass that guides you away from danger, a foundation upon which you can build a life free from their destructive influence. The awakening is complete when you stop asking why they hurt you, and start asking why you allowed them to hurt you repeatedly. When you stop trying to understand their motivations and start examining your own patterns. When you stop focusing on their potential for change, and start focusing on your need for protection. This shift in focus changes everything because it returns power to where it belongs, with you. You cannot control their choices, but you can control your responses. You cannot change their nature, but you can change your availability to their destruction. You cannot make them treat you better, but you can stop giving them opportunities to treat you poorly. The person who damages you intentionally has already voted on your worth. They have already decided how much respect you deserve. They have already determined how much care you merit in their life. Their vote was cast the moment they chose to harm you deliberately, and no amount of second chances will change their ballot. Your job is not to convince them to recast their vote. Your job is to stop participating in elections where your worth is up for debate. Your job is to remove yourself from relationships where your value is constantly questioned, tested, and found wanting. Your job is to build a life where your worthiness is a given, not a variable. When you truly understand that someone has damaged you intentionally, when you fully grasp that their harm was calculated and purposeful, when you completely accept that they chose to hurt you while knowing exactly what they were doing, you will stop offering second chances to people who have already shown you their first choice was to harm you deliberately. This understanding becomes the foundation upon which you build unbreachable boundaries and create spaces where intentional harm cannot reach you. Who here has ever built something beautiful only to watch someone destroy it? Keep your hands up. Now, who among you rebuilt in the exact same spot, using the exact same materials, expecting different results? Most hands are still raised. This is precisely why your pain continues. Once you recognize that someone has damaged you intentionally, your awakening is only the beginning. Knowledge without action is merely intellectual entertainment. You must now construct something they cannot penetrate, cannot manipulate, and cannot destroy. You must build a fortress around your life, your energy, and your future. But this fortress is not built from hatred or bitterness. It is constructed from the purest form of self-respect. Every boundary you establish, every wall you erect, every gate you close is an act of profound self-love. You are not keeping people out because you hate them. You are keeping people out because you love yourself enough to demand better treatment. The first stone of your fortress is understanding that boundaries are not cruel, they are kind. They are kind to you because they preserve your energy for people who deserve it. They are kind to others because they prevent you from building resentment that would poison every interaction. They are kind to the universe because they maintain the natural order where actions have consequences. Your boundaries begin in your mind, in the thoughts you allow to take residence there. Stop rehearsing conversations with people who have proven they do not deserve your mental energy. Stop analyzing their motivations, dissecting their behavior, or crafting the perfect response to their latest manipulation. Every minute you spend thinking about someone who deliberately harmed you is a minute stolen from building something magnificent with someone who cherishes your presence. The mental fortress requires disciplined thinking. When their memory attempts to intrude, when there echoes in your consciousness, when their face appears in your thoughts, you must have a protocol ready. Acknowledge the intrusion, remind yourself why they lost access to your mental space, and immediately redirect your attention to something that serves your growth. This is not suppression. This is conscious curation of your inner environment. Your emotional fortress is built through the radical act of feeling your feelings completely, while refusing to act on every emotion. You can feel anger without sending the text. You can feel sadness without making the call. You can feel longing without opening the door. Emotions are information, not instructions. They tell you what happened. They do not dictate what happens next. The strongest emotional boundaries are maintained through the practice of selective vulnerability. Not everyone deserves access to your deepest fears, your grandest dreams, or your most tender wounds. These treasures are reserved for those who have proven their capacity to guard them carefully. The person who damaged you intentionally has already demonstrated they will weaponize your vulnerabilities against you. Your physical boundaries extend beyond just keeping certain people out of your space. They encompass the energy you bring to every room, the posture you maintain in every interaction, the tone you use in every conversation. When you walk through the world as someone who knows their worth, who demands respectful treatment, who will not tolerate deliberate harm, your presence itself becomes a boundary that repels those who wish to exploit you. The fortress has gates, but these gates have guards. Not everyone who approaches gets entry. Not everyone who knocks gets acknowledgement. Not everyone who pleads gets consideration. The guards at your gates are your standards, your values, and your hard-earned wisdom about human nature. They know the difference between someone seeking genuine connection and someone seeking easy access to your resources. These guards have been trained by your experiences. They recognize the speech patterns of manipulators, the behavior patterns of users, the emotional patterns of those who give love conditionally. They can spot someone who views relationships as transactions, who keeps score of every kindness, who sees your generosity as weakness to exploit. Your fortress contains rooms that no one else can enter. These are spaces reserved for your relationship with yourself, your connection to your purpose, your communion with whatever you consider sacred. In these rooms you remember who you are beyond any relationship, beyond any external validation, beyond any other person's opinion or treatment of you. The maintenance of your fortress requires constant vigilance, not from paranoia but from wisdom. You must regularly inspect your boundaries for weak spots, areas where guilt or loneliness might create openings for those who wish you harm. You must reinforce any boundary that shows signs of erosion, strengthen any gate that appears vulnerable, and repair any wall that has been compromised. This vigilance extends to monitoring your own behavior. Are you making excuses for someone's poor treatment? Are you rationalizing behavior you would never accept from a stranger? Are you lowering your standards to accommodate someone's limitations? These are signs that your fortress needs immediate reinforcement. The fortress is not a prison, it is a sanctuary. Within its walls you can be fully yourself without fear of judgment, manipulation, or exploitation. You can trust without paranoia because you have vetted those who gained entry. You can love without reservation because you have removed those who abuse your affection. You can be vulnerable without danger because you have surrounded yourself with people who guard your heart as carefully as they guard their own. Those who truly care about you will not only respect your boundaries, they will celebrate them. They understand that your boundaries protect the relationship itself from the resentment that builds when limits are consistently violated. They recognize that your standards create the very conditions that allow authentic intimacy to flourish. The people who complain about your boundaries, who push against your limits, who try to convince you that your standards are too high, are revealing their true intentions. They are not seeking connection, they are seeking access. They are not offering love, they are demanding privileges they have not earned and do not deserve. Your fortress must have a communication system that allows you to interact with the outside world without compromising your security. This system includes scripts for common scenarios: how to respond when someone who harmed you attempts contact, how to handle mutual friends who pressure you to reconcile, how to address family members who insist you should forgive and forget. These scripts are not meant to be cold or rehearsed. They are meant to be clear and consistent. When someone who deliberately damaged you reaches out, your response should be brief, factual, and final. I have made the decision not to continue this relationship. I wish you well, but please do not contact me again. No explanation, no justification, no opening for negotiation. The fortress includes a sophisticated early warning system that alerts you to potential threats before they reach your gates. This system has been calibrated by your past experiences to recognize red flags, inconsistencies, and patterns that indicate someone may not be trustworthy. When the warnings sound, you listen. When the alerts flash, you pay attention. When your intuition speaks, you honor its wisdom. This warning system operates on multiple levels. It monitors words for inconsistencies between what someone says and what they do. It tracks behavior patterns for signs of entitlement, manipulation, or exploitation. It evaluates emotional responses for authenticity versus performance. It assesses respect levels for your time, energy, and boundaries. The fortress has multiple layers of defense. The outer walls screen for basic respect and decency. The inner walls require demonstrated trustworthiness and genuine care. The innermost chambers demand proven loyalty and authentic love. Not everyone needs access to every layer, and very few people earn access to the center. Each layer has different requirements for entry and different consequences for betrayal. Casual acquaintances who show disrespect lose access to social interaction. Friends who prove unreliable lose access to personal information. Close relationships who betray trust lose access to emotional intimacy. Those who deliberately cause harm lose access to everything. Your fortress is equipped with systems for rapid response when boundaries are violated. These systems do not require lengthy consideration or second guessing. When someone crosses a clearly established line, the response is immediate and proportionate. Small violations receive clear corrections. Major violations receive immediate consequences. Deliberate attacks receive permanent banishment. The speed of your response is crucial because delayed consequences teach the wrong lesson. When you allow time to pass between a boundary violation and its consequence, you create confusion about what behavior is acceptable. The violator begins to believe their actions were not serious enough to warrant immediate response, encouraging them to test your limits further. Your fortress contains resources for healing and growth. These are not just spaces for recovery from past harm, but laboratories for developing new strengths, new skills, new capacities for discernment and protection. Every experience of betrayal, every lesson learned from manipulation, every insight gained from exploitation becomes raw material for building stronger defenses. The healing spaces within your fortress are sacred areas where you process pain without judgment, where you examine your role in past dynamics without self-blame, where you extract wisdom from wounds without becoming cynical. These spaces allow you to transform every experience of deliberate harm into protective knowledge for the future. The fortress has observation towers from which you can see clearly without being seen. These vantage points allow you to study behavior patterns, assess motivations, and evaluate character from a safe distance. You can watch how someone treats others when they think no one important is looking. You can observe their consistency between public persona and private behavior. You can monitor their responses to stress, disappointment, and conflict. These observation periods are not about becoming suspicious of everyone but about becoming selective with your trust. Trust is not given freely to anyone who requests it. It is earned through consistent demonstration of character over time. The person who has deliberately harmed you has already failed this test permanently. Your fortress includes communication channels with other fortresses, inus connections with people who have also learned to protect themselves from those who cause deliberate harm. These networks provide mutual support, shared wisdom, and collective strength. Together you can recognize patterns, share warnings, and celebrate each other's growth and healing. These connections remind you that setting boundaries is not isolating, it is connecting with the right people. It is not closing yourself off from love, it is opening yourself up to genuine love by removing counterfeit versions. It is not becoming hard, it is becoming wise. The fortress has archives where you keep records of your experiences, not to remain stuck in the past but to remember the lessons learned. These records include documentation of red flags you missed, patterns you ignored, and warnings you dismissed. They serve as references for future decision-making, ensuring you do not repeat the same mistakes with different people. These archives also contain records of growth, evidence of your increasing strength, proof of your expanding wisdom. They remind you how far you have traveled from the person who once accepted unacceptable treatment, who once made excuses for inexcusable behavior, who once gave unlimited chances to those who demonstrated unlimited capacity for harm. Your fortress has training grounds where you practice new skills: how to say no without guilt, how to maintain boundaries under pressure, how to trust your instincts when others try to convince you otherwise. These skills require regular practice because the world is full of people who will test your resolve, challenge your standards, and attempt to breach your defenses. The training includes scenarios for handling guilt trips, emotional manipulation, and social pressure. You practice responses to common tactics used by those who wish to regain access to your life after proving they do not deserve it. You rehearse maintaining your position when others tell you that you should forgive, forget, and give another chance. The fortress has supply lines that ensure you never run out of what you need to maintain your boundaries. These supplies include emotional support from trustworthy friends, intellectual validation from wise mentors, spiritual strength from whatever source feeds your soul, and practical resources for independent living. You are never dependent on those who have harmed you for anything essential to your well-being. Independence is not about rejecting all help, it is about ensuring that your basic needs for safety, security, and self-worth are not controlled by anyone who has proven they will use this control against you. Your fortress is self-sustaining in all the ways that matter most. The construction of your fortress is not completed in a day, a week, or even a year. It is an ongoing project that evolves as you grow, adapts as you learn, and strengthens as you heal. Each boundary you establish successfully, each limit you maintain consistently, each standard you uphold courageously adds another layer of protection to your life. But the ultimate purpose of your fortress is not to keep you isolated from human connection. It is to ensure that every connection you do make is worthy of your magnificent heart. Within these protected walls you can love freely because you have removed those who abuse love. You can trust deeply because you have excluded those who betray trust. You can be vulnerable completely because you have surrounded yourself only with those who treasure your openness rather than exploit it. Your fortress stands as a testament to your worth, a monument to your growth, and a sanctuary for your future. It declares to the world that you know your value and will no longer accept treatment that contradicts this knowledge. It announces that your energy is precious and will only be invested in people and pursuits that honor its worth. The person who deliberately damaged you will eventually test these walls, probe these boundaries, and attempt to breach these defenses. They will use every tool at their disposal: guilt, manipulation, false promises of change, recruitment of mutual friends, exploitation of special occasions, and appeals to your past history together. Your fortress must be prepared for all of these attacks. When they come, and they will come, your response must be as solid as the walls you have built. No explanation, no negotiation, no second guessing. The fortress holds, the boundaries remain. The gates stay closed. You have already given them more chances than they deserved, more access than they earned, more forgiveness than they respected. Your fortress is not just protection from those who have already harmed you, it is prevention against those who might harm you in the future. The standards you maintain, the boundaries you enforce, and the consequences you implement send a clear message to everyone who enters your life about what behavior is acceptable and what will result in immediate removal. This fortress becomes the foundation from which you will build a new life, form new relationships, and create new experiences. From this position of strength and security, you can engage with the world from choice rather than need, from abundance rather than scarcity, from wisdom rather than naivety. Your fortress is complete when you no longer need to think about those who deliberately harmed you, because you have created a life so full of genuine connections that there is no space left for counterfeit relationships. How many of you have ever watched a phoenix rise from ashes in a movie and thought it looked effortless? Raise your hands, keep them up if you've ever been through something that burned your entire world down. Most hands remain raised. Now here's the truth. They don't show you in those movies. The phoenix doesn't rise despite the fire. It rises because of what the fire revealed about its true nature. Your fortress stands strong. Your boundaries hold firm, but protection alone is not life. You were not meant to exist solely in defensive mode, constantly guarding against harm. You were meant to soar, to create, to connect, to love with the full force of your being. The question now becomes, how do you open your heart again without making yourself vulnerable to the same destruction? The answer lies not in returning to who you were before the betrayal, but in becoming who you were always meant to be. The person who gave unlimited chances to those who caused deliberate harm was operating from incomplete information about human nature. You now possess knowledge that your previous self lacked. You understand patterns your former self couldn't recognize. You can spot intentions your past self couldn't detect. This wisdom is not cynicism, it is discernment. Cynicism assumes everyone will hurt you, and builds walls against all connection. Discernment recognizes that some people will hurt you and builds filters to identify them before they gain access. Cynicism closes all doors. Discernment installs better locks and gives keys only to those who prove they deserve them. Your new approach to relationships begins with understanding that trust is not a feeling, it is a decision based on evidence. The old you trusted based on hope, potential, and promises. The new you trusts based on consistency, character, and demonstrated behavior over time. This shift changes everything because it removes the guesswork from human connections and replaces it with measurable criteria. The evidence you require is not complicated, but it is comprehensive. Does their behavior match their words across different situations and over extended periods? Do they treat service workers, family members, and people who cannot benefit them with the same respect they show you? How do they handle conflict, disappointment, and stress? What do they do when they think no one important is watching? These questions reveal character in ways that romantic gestures and eloquent words cannot. Character is not what someone does when they want to impress you. Character is what someone does when they have nothing to gain from the interaction. The person who deliberately harmed you showed excellent behavior when it served their purposes and revealed their true nature when they thought the consequences were manageable. Your selective trust operates on a graduated system. Not everyone needs the same level of access to your life, your energy, or your heart. Acquaintances require basic respect and honesty. Friends require demonstrated reliability and genuine care. Close companions require proven loyalty and authentic love. Each level has different requirements for entry and different privileges once achieved. This system protects you from the all-or-nothing thinking that made you vulnerable to exploitation. You no longer have to choose between trusting someone completely or not trusting them at all. You can offer appropriate levels of trust based on earned evidence while maintaining the possibility for deeper connection as more evidence accumulates. The beauty of selective trust is that it actually enhances genuine relationships while filtering out counterfeit ones. People of good character appreciate clear expectations and consistent standards. They understand that meaningful connection requires time to develop and are willing to invest in building that foundation properly. They see your selective approach as wisdom, not rejection. Those who complain about your new standards, who push against your graduated approach, who demand immediate access to deeper levels of trust, are revealing their intentions. They are not seeking to build something authentic with you, they are seeking to exploit the shortcuts that your previous trusting nature provided. They want the benefits of deep connection without the investment required to earn them. Your transformation includes a fundamental shift in how you view your own worth. The person who gave unlimited chances to those who caused deliberate harm was operating from a scarcity mindset that assumed their options were limited. You now understand that you have infinite capacity to create new connections with people who recognize your value from the beginning. This abundance mindset changes how you show up in every interaction. You no longer approach relationships from a position of need, hoping to earn someone's love through excessive giving or tolerance of poor treatment. You approach relationships from a position of choice, offering your authentic self while maintaining the freedom to walk away if the connection proves unhealthy. The relationships you build from this new foundation are qualitatively different from anything you experienced before. They are based on mutual respect rather than one-sided sacrifice. They thrive on authentic communication rather than fear-based people-pleasing. They grow through shared values rather than shared trauma or dysfunction. These healthy connections require different skills than the survival strategies you developed for managing difficult people. You must learn to receive love without suspicion, to accept care without waiting for the hidden agenda to reveal itself, to trust gradually without paranoia clouding your judgment. This is perhaps the most challenging aspect of your transformation, allowing good people close enough to love you well. Your new relationships serve as healing agents for wounds you didn't even realize you carried. When someone consistently shows up as promised, it heals your expectation of disappointment. When someone respects your boundaries without argument, it heals your belief that your limits don't matter. When someone supports your growth rather than feeling threatened by it, it heals your fear that success means isolation. But this healing only occurs in the presence of people who have earned access to your trust through demonstrated character. Attempting to heal through connections with people who haven't proven themselves worthy simply recreates the original trauma in new forms. The medicine becomes poison when administered by the wrong hands. Your selective trust includes trusting yourself in ways you never did before. You trust your instincts when they signal danger, even if you cannot articulate exactly why someone feels unsafe. You trust your standards even when others call them too high. You trust your need for space and time to evaluate people even when they pressure you for immediate intimacy. This self-trust is the foundation that makes all other trust possible. When you know you can rely on yourself to recognize red flags, enforce boundaries, and remove yourself from harmful situations, you can afford to be more open with others. Your safety net is no longer hoping that others will treat you well. Your safety net is knowing that you will protect yourself if they don't. The transformation also requires learning to trust life itself, mindset, the process of growth, the possibility of finding genuine connection, the belief that your future can be different from your past. This trust is not blind faith but informed confidence based on your expanding capacity to create better experiences through wiser choices. Your new life attracts different people than your old life did. When you operate from self-respect rather than people-pleasing, when you maintain standards rather than accepting anything offered, when you choose connection rather than settling for availability, you naturally draw individuals who appreciate these qualities because they possess them themselves. The person who deliberately harmed you was attracted to your old patterns. Your willingness to overgive, your tendency to make excuses for poor behavior, your habit of sacrificing your needs for others' comfort. These patterns no longer exist in you, making you fundamentally incompatible with people who seek to exploit rather than appreciate. This incompatibility is not a loss, it is protection. Every person who loses interest in you because you maintain boundaries, every individual who walks away because you refuse to tolerate disrespect, every connection that ends because you will not accept deliberate harm is actually the filtering system working perfectly to preserve your energy for worthy recipients. Your phoenix-like rise includes the development of new capacities you never possessed in your previous relationships. You can now love without losing yourself, care without becoming codependent, support without enabling dysfunction. These abilities were not available to you before, because they require the wisdom that only comes through surviving deliberate betrayal, and choosing to grow rather than become bitter. The love you now offer is more valuable than what you gave before, because it comes from choice rather than compulsion, from abundance rather than emptiness, from strength rather than need. This love does not seek to complete you or fix your wounds, it seeks to share your wholeness with someone equally complete. Your relationships become collaborations between two individuals who have done their own work, healed their own wounds, and built their own foundations. Neither person needs the other to feel complete, but both choose to share their completeness to create something even more beautiful together. This is the difference between dependent attachment and conscious partnership. The process of rebuilding includes grieving not just what you lost but what you never actually had. The relationship with the person who deliberately harmed you was built on illusions, their false presentation of themselves, your fantasies about their potential, the belief that love could transform their character. Letting go of these illusions is as important as letting go of the person. This grieving process clears space for relationships based on reality rather than projection. When you no longer need people to be different than they are, you can appreciate them for who they actually are, or recognize that who they are is incompatible with your life. This clarity eliminates the exhausting cycle of hoping, disappointment, and making excuses that characterized your past connections. Your new relationships require less energy to maintain because they are not built on the constant effort to change, fix, or manage another person's behavior. When both people show up authentically and treat each other respectfully, the relationship flows naturally without the drama, confusion, and emotional exhaustion that you once mistook for passion. The peace you experience in healthy relationships initially feels strange because you have been conditioned to associate intensity with love, but intensity is not love, it is usually anxiety, fear, or unmet need creating emotional chaos. Love feels calm, secure, and steady. It enhances your life without consuming it. Your transformation includes learning to recognize and receive different types of love than what you accepted before. Healthy love feels supportive rather than demanding, encouraging rather than critical, stable rather than unpredictable. It adds to your life rather than requiring you to diminish yourself to accommodate it. This new capacity to recognize healthy love protects you from settling for dramatic connections that masquerade as deep feeling. You no longer confuse chaos with chemistry, volatility with passion, or trauma bonding with authentic intimacy. Your emotional palate has been refined to appreciate the subtle flavors of genuine affection rather than the overwhelming spice of dysfunction. Your selective trust extends beyond romantic relationships to every area of life: minds, friendships, family connections, professional relationships, and casual interactions. In each context, you apply the same principles: consistent behavior over time, respect for boundaries, authentic communication, and mutual benefit rather than one-sided exploitation. This comprehensive approach creates coherence in your life where everything aligns with your values and standards. You no longer compartmentalize, accepting poor treatment in one area while demanding respect in another. Your life becomes integrated around the central principle that you deserve consistent consideration in every relationship. The ripple effects of your transformation extend far beyond your personal relationships. When you model self-respect, boundary maintenance, and selective trust, you give permission to others to do the same. Your courage to remove toxic people from your life inspires others to examine their own connections. Your insistence on authentic treatment encourages others to raise their standards. You become a catalyst for positive change in your community simply by refusing to accept what you once tolerated. Other people begin to question why they are giving unlimited chances to those who cause deliberate harm. They start to wonder if they too deserve better treatment than what they are currently accepting. Your example demonstrates that it is possible to survive the loss of significant relationships when those relationships were based on exploitation rather than genuine care. You prove that life not only continues but improves dramatically when you remove people who deliberately cause harm and replace them with individuals who consistently show respect. The person who once feared being alone more than being mistreated no longer exists. You have learned the profound difference between solitude and loneliness, between being single and being available for the right connection, between waiting for someone to change and creating space for someone who has already evolved. This shift eliminates the desperate energy that once attracted people who prey on those seeking completion through others. You now attract individuals who are drawn to your wholeness rather than your wounds, your strength rather than your neediness, your standards rather than your willingness to accept anything offered. Your phoenix rise is complete when you realize that the person who deliberately harmed you actually did you a tremendous favor. They revealed their true nature early enough for you to remove them before they could cause even greater damage. They taught you lessons about human character that you needed to learn. They forced you to develop strength you didn't know you possessed. This gratitude is not about minimizing the pain they caused or excusing their behavior. It is about recognizing that their betrayal became the catalyst for your transformation into someone far stronger, wiser, and more discerning than you were before. They intended to break you, but they actually broke the illusions that were keeping you small. Your new life is not a reaction to what they did to you. It is a creation born from who you chose to become. You did not rise in spite of their betrayal. You rose because of the strength their betrayal revealed was always within you. The phoenix was not created by the fire simply burned away everything that was not phoenix. The completion of your transformation is marked not by thoughts of revenge or desires for their regret, but by complete indifference to their existence. They have become irrelevant to your life, your happiness, and your future. This indifference is the ultimate victory because it represents your total freedom from their influence. You have built a life so full of genuine connections, meaningful purpose, and authentic joy that there is no space left for anyone who brings deliberate harm. Your energy flows toward creation rather than protection, toward building rather than defending, toward growing rather than surviving. The person who once gave unlimited chances to those who caused deliberate harm has been transformed into someone who gives appropriate chances to those who earn them through consistent demonstration of character. This is not becoming harder, this is becoming wiser. This is not closing your heart, this is opening it only to those who will treasure rather than abuse what you offer. Your phoenix rise is not just personal recovery, it is evolution into the person you were always meant to become. Someone who knows their worth and demands that others recognize it too. Someone who loves deeply but selectively. Someone who trusts carefully but completely once that trust is earned. Someone who gives generously but only to those who give generously in return. You have not just survived deliberate harm, you have transformed it into deliberate wisdom. You have not just removed toxic people, you have created space for magnificent connections. You have not just built boundaries, you have built a life worthy of protection. The phoenix has risen, and it will never again return to the ashes of accepting less than it deserves.